The first time I saw Clara, she was laughing. A sound so bright and full of life, it seemed to make the entire cafe buzz with its energy. I was just a regular, hiding behind my laptop. But her laughter cut through my concentration like a sunbeam through a dusty window. She was with friends, her gestures animated, her eyes sparkling with a joy that was utterly infectious. I was captivated. It took me a week to work up the courage to even say hello, but when I finally did, her smile was even more dazzling up close. Our first date felt like a scene from a movie. We talked for hours, the world outside fading into a blur. Clara was a whirlwind of stories, opinions, and dreams. She spoke with a passion that was both intimidating and incredibly attractive. She wanted to travel the world, learn 3 new languages, and open a sanctuary for stray animals. Her energy was boundless, and I, a quiet, steady person, found myself swept up in her current. I fell for her, fast and hard. For the first 2 years, our life was a beautiful chaos, orchestrated by her vibrant personality. She filled our home with noise, music, and endless chatter. I loved it. I loved her. Then, things started to change. It wasn't a sudden shift, more like a slow, creeping frost. It started with small things. She'd come home from work, and instead of launching into a detailed recap of her day, she'd give me a tired smile and a one-word answer. "Fine," she'd say, her voice lacking its usual melody. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Her job was demanding. But then the music in the house stopped playing. Our weekend adventures were replaced by quiet afternoons on the couch, her scrolling through her phone while I read a book. The silence grew, becoming a third person in our relationship, an unwelcome guest that took up all the space between us. I tried to breach it. I'd ask, "Is everything okay?" "Clara, you seem quiet." She'd just nod, sometimes forcing a small smile. "Just tired, Leo. Don't worry." But I did worry. Her silence was a heavy blanket, suffocating the air we used to fill with laughter and debate. I missed our arguments, the fiery discussions about politics or which movie was better. Even her anger was preferable to this deafening void. At least her anger was a connection, a sign that she cared enough to fight. I started to feel like a ghost in my own home. I'd talk, trying to fill the silence with stories about my day, hoping to coax a reaction, any reaction, out of her. But she would just listen, her eyes distant, as if she were a million miles away. It was agonizing. Her words had once built me up, made me feel like the most important person in the world. Now, her lack of them was tearing me down, piece by piece. The silence wasn't empty. It was filled with everything she wasn't saying, with all the unspoken problems I couldn't begin to understand. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I found her staring out the window, a cup of tea growing cold in her hands. I knelt in front of her and took her hands in mine. "Clara, please," I begged, my voice cracking. "Talk to me." "Yell at me, scream at me, tell me you hate me. Just say something. Anything." This silence, it's breaking my heart. It's worse than anything you could ever say. Tears welled up in her eyes and streamed down her face. But she remained silent. She just looked at me, her expression a mixture of sorrow and a deep, impenetrable sadness. She gently pulled her hands away, stood up, and walked into the bedroom, closing the door softly behind her. The click of the latch was the loudest sound I'd heard all night. It was the sound of a final, unbreakable wall being erected between us. I sat there on the floor for a long time, the silence of the house pressing in on me. I realized then that the woman I fell in love with, the vibrant, talkative, passionate Clara, was gone. In her place was a stranger who communicated only through a quiet, devastating absence. Her silence hadn't just broken my heart. It had shattered it into a million pieces, leaving me to wonder if I'd ever be able to put them back together. The laughter that had once drawn me in was now a distant echo, a painful reminder of a love that had been lost not in a storm of angry words, but in the crushing stillness of silence. The next morning, she was gone. A note was left on the kitchen counter. It was short, only a few lines. It said she was sorry, that she didn't know how to be the person she was anymore, and that she needed to find herself again, alone. The written words were a cold comfort. They confirmed what her silence had been telling me for months. It wasn't about me. Not really. It was about a light within her that had gone out, and she didn't know how to tell me she was lost in the dark. I often think back to that day in the cafe. The sound of her laughter, it's a memory that is both beautiful and painful. It reminds me that sometimes the most profound goodbyes aren't shouted from the rooftops. They are whispered in the quiet spaces, in the words left unsaid, in the heavy, heartbreaking silence that follows when love is no longer loud enough to be heard. Thank you for watching this Noble Hearts story. If you've ever felt the weight of silence in a relationship, know that you're not alone. Sometimes the quietest moments hold the most powerful lessons. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that explore the depths of the human heart. We'll see you next time.